Hello my snacks, welcome back. My name is Jack. Today's stories all center around an interesting theme of being caught up in a very awkward situation, ranging from just genuine discomfort to downright horrific. I think it's honestly traumatizing. Anyway, we begin with this story about 2 days ago. Am I the a-hole for getting upset with my morbidly obese cousin for editing a picture of me? I'm an 18-year-old female. Recently went to a family gathering that my parents were in charge of. They had food, drinks, and games. I'll call the cousin in question Annie. Annie, 28, female, is morbidly obese. We never talk about weight or anything like that in our family. I respect and love her, and I don't have a problem with her weight. At the party, she wanted to take a bunch of pictures with people. She got this one really cute picture of me and her and asked if she could post it. I said, of course, and the rest of the party went without incident. The next morning, when I checked Instagram, I was horrified to see that she had severely edited the picture. She made me look like I was about 200 pounds heavier than I am. Fitness and health is super important to me. I exercise daily and eat really well. I have no problem with her size or anything, but I don't want her to make me look like the same as her, especially since she is friends with like all of my friends and family. She posted about 3 pics. One with me and her, the edited one with her husband, and one of just her. Anyways, I called her and asked why she edited the picture. She explained that she was trying to promote body positivity and show that it's okay to be plus sized. I said, okay, fine, but you didn't get my permission. Also, isn't that kind of betraying that my body isn't okay? Well, she got really upset and refused to take down the photo. She then started ranting and said, I don't understand what it's like to be fat and life is just so easy for me. I was very upset by this and argued that no, I work hard for my body. She got really mad and hung up. I talked to the rest of my family about it and my parents and siblings were totally on my side. But my other cousin, 30 female, called me and screamed at me that Annie has always struggled with weight and food comforts her and I am such a jerk. She then was saying that she would make sure the photo never got taken down? Like, I thought I was right, but now I kind of feel bad. I didn't mean to bring up weight issues and I didn't say it was easy being Annie. I just didn't want that photo of me out there. Am I in the wrong? This young girl is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And no, that's not a reference to Annie. I mean, it's an absolute paradox to be against the idea of promoting body positivity, but then also find it insulting when someone posts a photo of you that shows you larger than you are. Why are you insulted by that, huh? There shouldn't be anything disgusting about having a larger body. Why are you finding it so disgusting that you look like that in a photo, huh? So it was politically smart to go for the you didn't get my permission tactic. But yeah, how do you go about this? You can't really say that you're uncomfortable about this without sort of in a way arguing that yes, you find that having a larger body isn't appealing to you and therefore you don't really agree with the idea of having a larger body. And a lot of the people were saying Natar overall in the comments. A few people assuming this was just fat phobia because apparently saying you want a body that isn't a shape that they like is fat phobic. They were pretty active with edit and updates though, so to summarize a few of them, with all the responses, OP decides that they are just going to report the photo, not really try to engage anymore with the family. She does understand calling out the Annie for doing this, but also Annie really cherishes social media and her followers, and the OP doesn't want to put her down. I think she's just in a bad place right now. All I really want is the photo to be removed. Some have questioned if she's just enabling this, but OP assures they're not trying to. They're just trying to keep the peace as much with family and avoid burning the bridge, so to speak. And of course, yes, the allegation of being fat phobic. Sure, some of the things she said wasn't really said in the best of context based on the situation that's occurred, but I mean, end of the day, it's this woman's body, and if you were trying to change it and defile it, but change its shape and visuals for your own satisfaction, I mean, regardless of the intent, you're still enforcing the shape of someone on the internet for your own satisfaction. I mean, this is basically deepfakes. Just, lucky Annie isn't a 28-year-old man. Imagine how tolerant that would be. And in an update, sorry I've been busy with work, but I reported the post and so did my parents and 2 other siblings. I also told my parents how upset it made me and they want to step in. They're going to talk with my aunt and Annie this weekend about it. Hopefully that clears some of this up, but my aunt said Annie doesn't want me there, so she's still really angry, I guess. I also updated my profile pic, but I'm pretty sure most of my friends and family knew it was altered. That's why my parents helped me realize because I've seen like most of them within the last 6 months. Over to another story with a similar awkward situation between family, where OP's sister definitely isn't infatuated with her male best friend. No, not at all. I spent the day with my sister's best friend, and now she's telling my parents that I am a homewrecker. So this all started yesterday, when I, 22 female, had a date planned with a guy. He ended up not showing, and so naturally, I texted the group chat about it. My sister is in this particular group chat. I'm guessing my sister, Sarah, 26 female, told her best friend, Jay, 27 male, about it, because a few minutes later, Jay texted me to ask if I'm okay. I told him, yes, just a little disappointed since I was pretty excited to try that particular restaurant. He said that he would pick me up at noon the next day so we could go eat there. I told him it wasn't necessary, but he insisted, so I agreed, thinking nothing of it. Well, today he took me out as promised, and while we were eating, Sarah FaceTimed Jay. Then he didn't answer, she called again and again. He answered the fourth call and asked her what was going on. She said that she was just checking up on us and told me to call her later. Just a casual call. 4 times. So later ended up being almost 8 p.m. Jay and I ended up spending the rest of the day together, hunting down some collectible dolls we both like and trying different dessert spots along the way. On the way back to my apartment, Jay asked me to change the music on his phone. When I opened it, I saw that my sister had called him about 30 times throughout the day and texted him across multiple different apps. Jay put his phone on Do Not Disturb after lunch, so it made sense why he didn't see those notifications. Once he dropped me off, I called my sister and asked her if everything was all right. She said yes, and asked if I had forgotten to call her back sooner. I told her that I was out with Jay, so I didn't get the chance, and figured it could wait since she didn't call me. She hung up, and a few minutes later, I get a call from my mom. She sounded angry and told me that I should be ashamed of myself. I said sure. Just immediately accepts it. But why today? According to my mum, Sarah called her in tears, saying that she had caught Jay and I sleeping together in their apartment. I was so freaking confused. I told my mum that I did not, in fact, sleep with Jay and that I didn't even know that Jay and my sister lived together. I asked her to give me a minute and I called Jay, but he didn't answer, so now I am here, laying on my floor wondering what the hell is going on and putting off another conversation with my mom. So let's reiterate here. Sarah and Jay are not a couple. They are just friends. Just in case Sarah's ridiculous explanation of the situation hasn't gotten to you as a manipulatively it's gotten to the mother. That word doesn't make sense in that situation, but shut up. I only got C's in English for a reason. Now some theories pop up before the update. So your sister thinks she's in a romantic relationship with her best friend. Her best friend does not have feelings for her and doesn't even know he is in a relationship with your sister. Oh boy, you got yourself a delusional sister. Best of luck with that one. Others theorize that maybe Jay's been actually stringing the sister along with a bit of a friends with benefits promise and, you know, is dipping his fingers into every bit of the salad bowl. That, again, doesn't make sense, but... It's late in the afternoon, okay? I haven't had my coffee. Regardless, the people don't think that's enough of an excuse. You can be upset with Jay, but to pin this on the OP like this, you wouldn't be surprised if the sister is considered the golden child of the family. So, the original story was 2 days ago, and just in the last 3 hours we get the update. Does the OP successfully vindicate themselves? I wanted to clear up some confusion before the update. On my original post, when my mom told me that Sarah and Jay shared an apartment, I said I didn't even know they lived together. Those were my verbatim words to her because last I knew, Sarah had a roommate and Jay lived alone. I was right. That's still the case. Sorry I wasn't clear about that. I'm bad at expressing myself sometimes. Another thing was people were wondering how Jay found out about my date, or lack thereof, and according to him, he was hanging out with a few of his friends, including my sister, and she told him about it in a joking way, which absolutely explains Sarah's vulture-like tendencies to be calling them throughout the day. Sarah didn't set this up at all. It was all Jay, just clearly being interested in the OP. Another thing that some people were asking, why I went out with Jay if I knew my sister liked him. I didn't know. Just because I talk to my sister doesn't mean she talks to me the same way. If I had known, I would have talked to her about it first because I know from past experience that my sister is a jealous person. Anyway, last night was a doozy. Jay called me back. He said he was going to stay at a friend's because he would feel safer with company. irony. I asked him if there had been anything romantic between him and my sister. He said the only thing was that he kissed her at a New Year's party at midnight because she was feeling left out. Damn, the best she's gotten is a pity pash. Oh, obviously, I can't confirm if that really is the only thing. He also said that he had never even talked about moving in with Sarah, so he doesn't know why she would say they were living together. Yeah, geez, Sarah, try not to pop a vein with all that manifesting you're trying to do. Oh, hey, Sarah, nice to see you. Hi, Jay, how breedable are you? How are you? What? Sorry, slip of the tongue. Breed me. Excuse me. After I spoke with Jay, I called my mum again. She still sounded mad, but this time I could hear my sister crying in the background and my dad yelling to get our butts over there. Our being Jay and I, presumably. Well, as I told my mother earlier, I didn't have Jay's butt, and I don't like to drive at night, so I told them I would go the next morning. That also gave me time to gather any evidence I could to prove my innocence. Jay even sent me a copy of his lease to prove that he and Sarah do not live together. I went to my parents alone because Jay has a job. As soon as I arrived, my parents started yelling at me. Just the usual stuff, that I was disrespectful, but they never expected this from me. How dare you do this to your own sister? You know she already has a hard time. Why make her life harder? My dad even called me a whore. That was fun.
Ooh, let me just scratch that off my bingo sheet. Ooh, wow, I'm on a streak.
I kind of just sat there and did the math on how much faster I would be able to finish my grad program and flee the country, or at least the state. I wasn't very turned in until my mum told me that if Sarah lost her job because of me, that I would need to financially support her until she found another one. That's when I snapped and told them that if they thought I was going to do that, then they were as delusional as my sister. Missing one day of work because of a tantrum over something that didn't even happen was not going to get her fired. Honestly, I wish it would. My dad said that Sarah had been missing work to make sure that Jay wasn't leaving work early to go see me. I found out my sister also told them that Jay was missing a lot of work, so he wasn't taking enough home for their bills, so they had been sending her rent money for months. I told them it wasn't true, and I showed them the lease Jay sent, where it clearly says the day the lease started and when it ends. It also had his address, which is not the same as Sarah's. My mom brought Sarah out of her room, where she had apparently been this entire time, and told her to explain herself. Sarah said that he probably got that other apartment so that he could be closer to me when he went on supposed business trips. First of all, Jay is a software developer. I don't know what business trips he would go on. Secondly, nice way to find out that my sister doesn't even know where I live because Jay's apartment is almost an hour away from mine. I showed my parents that on Google Maps and they finally started to believe me. Sarah started crying and calling me a liar. My dad told me that even if what I said was true, I shouldn't have been so hard on Sarah, and that as her sister, I should be helping her when she's having a rough time like this. Sir, are you aware of who started this? I told them I wasn't a therapist, but if she ever decided to get help, I would pitch in. I left after that. There was nothing else I needed to say, and there was no point in waiting on an apology. My dad looked uncomfortable, and my mum was too busy consoling my sister to notice me leaving. I haven't talked to them since that. Sorry if you were expecting a fun update where I somehow got revenge on my sister or something crazy and petty. If you have questions, I'll probably answer. Thanks for caring, though. And those of you that shared your own stories under my original post, damn, sorry you went through that. So at least we know just how delusional and much of a golden child this Sarah actually is. Here's how you get revenge. Help Jay file a restraining order on your sister because she's stalking him, for sure, and she's mentally unstable. Go no contact with your family. Marry Jay. Build a great life. Unblock them on all your socials and let them see years of pictures of you guys getting married and living your best life. Boom! Petty revenge. Now to up the ante of uncomfortable situations in r/creepy encounters. It's the title of a popular anime that isn't actually a popular one in this dimension. My Neighbor, the Smex Offender. I had a memory resurface recently, which I had to double check with my mom for reassurance, and she confirmed it is unfortunately true. I was triggered by someone on the street outside my job, peeking inside through a very small window. They were harmless, but the sight of their face suddenly reminded me of a memory I had long forgotten from the first house I lived in as a child. We moved out of this house when I was 6 years old. A fence was built around the time I was old enough to start walking, but my parents were still always wary of letting me outside until we moved away. I used to resent it, but now I think I understand why. Apparently, we had a neighbor a few doors down who was a registered offender. He had been required to notify his neighbors via his social worker when he moved in. He had a habit of doing odd, off-putting things around the neighborhood. He once sprinted across the street and left a human-sized dent in our neighbor's garage door. He had also walked into another neighbor's back door, trembling, and asked to be held by her. She kicked him out and called the police when she discovered he also had an erection. I found a lot of this out through researching his name after my mum confirmed my story. I also found his Facebook page, which included a photo of him and sealed any doubt in my mind I had imagined it. His face was as clear as day, the man I remembered. The sight of him, even through a screen, immediately made me nauseous. My memory tells me that I was sitting in our living room watching TV when I felt someone watching me. It was the middle of the day, and I turned to look out our front window to see a man with his face and hands pressed against the glass. That same man I saw on the Facebook page. He was smiling at me with huge eyes and an even more alarmingly huge grin. I remember being scooped up in someone's arms and carried away into another room. My mum confirmed this would have been my grandma, who was babysitting me at the time. I'm glad we moved. Goddamn. And there are some people out there who still don't believe what you do with a child in their youth molds them for life. I do agree though that, hey, look, it does sound like he was probably methed up as well. Overall, just another great example as to why the idea of clowns is very outdated and we should stop considering them as cute and funny. I know this had nothing to do with clowns, but my immediate thought was a clown when I saw how this man was looking through this woman to the window. We now go over to True Off My Chest with a story that has 4 parts. Albeit they're rather short and not too blocky, but it's an experience that starts out horrible and inches towards some sense of redemption and comfort only for things to just fall apart all over again. It began 4 months ago. I just cut off my dying dad and I feel sick about it. I'm a 41-year-old female. My dad, 63, has cancer. This is his 2nd time fighting and treatment hasn't been very helpful. My siblings and I have been visiting my dad more since it looks like his condition won't improve. He's beginning to be more frail, but still fit enough to get around all right. A week ago, I was alone with my father and we were watching TV in the living room. I said to him if there's anything off of his bucket list he hasn't done yet, we'd be willing to help make it happen. He said thanks and we went on with our evening. I came back 2 days later and we were cooking dinner and waiting for my brothers to swing by. He said he had been thinking of what I said and he knew something he wanted to do, but was afraid to ask me. I told him it's fine to just ask. I honestly thought he was going to ask for expensive tickets or something. He said he's always had thoughts about me, and since he's not going to be around for a while longer, he wanted to be intimate with me. I was stunned. When he saw that I wasn't happy, he started apologizing and saying he shouldn't have said anything. He said he didn't want it to impact our relationship. I felt nauseous, so I stopped what I was doing and left. When I got home, my brothers started texting me asking where I went and what was wrong with dad. I just couldn't think of anything to say, so I ignored them. I've had a family member reaching out and finally told one of my brothers I never wanted to talk to dad again. They are begging for me to talk about what happened and telling me how distressed dad is. My dad has always been one of my favorite people. He raised us by himself and provided for us and my siblings. But this admission is something I wish he would have taken to the grave. It's had me wondering when he started having these thoughts about me. I've been rethinking every hug, every gift, every compliment he's ever given me. I've been physically sick over this, and my girlfriend is concerned about me. I've called out of work the past few days, and I can't handle all of the pressure and disgust I'm experiencing. I have been going to therapy for years, and I canceled my last appointment because I couldn't handle saying out loud what he said. My girlfriend is telling me to let my brothers know, but I don't want my dad to be alone as much as I hate him right now. I am stuck, and I have to go back to work work tomorrow and I'm just not ready. So I think we can mutually say, what a horrible day to know how to read. So while many people are just in disbelief, others get to thinking. My only hope is that if it's true, maybe the cancer is spread to his brain and he's not thinking clearly. I don't know. This is so messed up. And yeah, it becomes a common theory. Maybe the cancer's spread and it's caused him to not be thinking straight anymore. But Opie does believe he was completely lucid at this time. There was nothing about him that seems to have perceived him as being abnormal in his normal behavior. But regardless, apparently, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he was lucid, but inappropriate, intimate behavior with their children is textbook symptom of dementia. I've heard of multiple cases of it being the earliest sign of mental deterioration. So, oh dear God, oh thank goodness there is some sort of light at the end of this tunnel of horror. So sometime later, the OP returns with an update, basically the admittance she makes towards her siblings on the situation. Yesterday, I asked my older brother to meet up at a restaurant for lunch. I wanted somewhere public, so if something went wrong, there would be witnesses. It was really difficult, but I told older brother what Dad said. He was quiet for a long time and didn't talk much. I gave him details that I wasn't comfortable discussing in my original post. He asked why I didn't say anything right away. I mentioned that he and Dad have always been so close, and I felt like I was jeopardizing their relationship. My older brother said that while he doesn't understand what exactly happened and believes me, he still doesn't think it sounds like our father. I agreed, it was out of character, but because of the way everything happened, I felt in my heart that he knew what he was saying to me. He asked if we could bring the little brother into the discussion. I agreed, and last night we got together at my older brother's. When we told my little brother, he was very upset. He has a 3-year-old daughter and was very concerned about her safety. I also made sure to mention that what some people said about a possible brain tumor or cancer. My older brother said he'll mention it to Dad's doctor since he's the one managing his medical care. So for now, they both understand why I'm not going to talk to Dad. I also said I understand if either of them decide to keep in contact with him and I wouldn't hold it against them. So yes, as we read, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting a bit brighter. Things are seeming okay. And 2 months later, Opie returns with another update on the situation, where it seems this skew in the family has made the father deteriorate even more. My father's illness has progressed very fast, and he is currently in hospice and is no longer lucid. I decided, with my girlfriend's encouragement, that I should visit my father one last time. I sat with him for 30 minutes and vented all of my frustrations to him. How I was so disappointed that he would proposition me, how I felt betrayed and that I still loved him, but he ruined my image of him. I said some more private things to him that I'd rather not share, but it was very cathartic, and I'm proud of myself for confronting him, even if he may not longer have the ability to hear me or understand my words. Maybe that makes me a coward in some ways, but this felt like I got the final word. My older brother is pretty crushed about this entire incident. He apparently tried talking to my dad about it, but he doubled down and said it was a mistake and he didn't mean it. Little brother also decided to cut contact. He's visited him in hospice to say goodbye as well, but Dad was still lucid. So yes, as the eventuality of the situation comes to a close, it seems some cracks are forming in the family's bond, as if Dad didn't make some cracks appear already. But just as recent as 9 hours ago, the OP's returned, so it's been 2 months, with an updated title on the sad 180 some people in this family have taken against the OP. I wanted to see if anyone has had experience or advice for recovering from a family split. I posted a few times earlier this year about how my dad was diagnosed with cancer and decided to proposition me for intimacy as a deathbed of bucket list situation. My dad died mid-April, and I've been processing everything with my therapist and family. There was no funeral, just went straight ahead for cremation after a quick viewing for any friends of the family. There's been some tension between my older brother and I. Initially, he was accepting and supportive of my choice to go no contact after I told him about the situation with Dad, but as more time has passed, he's become resentful of me. He and I got in a huge argument a few nights ago, and he blamed me for Dad's quick deterioration. He thinks that because I cut him off, the stress accelerated the progression. I don't necessarily disagree that it might have contributed, but I also don't believe it's my fault. Dad made the choice to ask me to have intimacy with him. Dad decided after his diagnosis was the perfect time to ask me for something unforgivable, while I was more vulnerable and more willing to do things for him. I know time is required to heal these wounds, but I've decided to go low contact with him. My younger brother is completely on my side and is just as frustrated with my brother. Logically, I understand what he's feeling. My dad was his best friend. They were together nearly every day, and he has never had to live a life without a father. But little brother and I are in in pain too, and I wish she could understand. I don't know where to go from here. I just know posting on this stub in the past gave me alternative perspectives and some good advice. To quote some common sense, what in the holy hell did your brother want you to do? Let it go and continue to be around your dad after he tried to manipulate his own daughter to have smacks? Or worse yet, give in? Like, does he think incest would have kept your father alive longer? Like, what the hell? He wanted me to forgive him. I couldn't bring myself to do that. I love my brother, and at first he seemed to understand. I think the reality of his passing has hit him, and he's looking for someone to blame. I wonder if your brother would have felt the same about forgiveness if he were asked to do this.
Oh, just one hand job, son, or I'm gonna die sooner of cancer. Please don't let Daddy die.
Spread those cheeks, boy. Daddy's got cancer. That's too much.
Well, that is the end of today's video. Thank you as always for watching. Remember to drink water that's healthy for you and stuff. I love your face, and see you next time. Bye-bye.